Hi everyone, this is Andrea from My World by Andrea, and I'm being joined this evening by the very talented author CJ Corbin. We're going to find out this evening what she was doing in RT in May, anything new and exciting going on in her life right now, any new books coming out, any sightings that she may be attending that you can go find her at, and of course, where we can stalk her and follow her and find out what's going on. And then anything else that we may touch upon. But I want to welcome you. How are you doing this evening, CJ?
I am doing fabulous. It is wonderfully hot here in Southern California.
Nice. Nice. I think that comes with the territory of living in California.
It does, but it has been very hot and humid, which is unusual for us.
Huh.
So I'm trying to keep a positive bent on it.
I think the humidity part's probably throwing you a little bit.
Just a tad.
Yeah, we have that here in the Midwest, the humidity, and it just kills us. But we're, I guess, used to that. But it's still miserable.
It can be.
I was going to bring up the first thing. CJ and I had a conversation in Reno, and for some reason, my computer, camera, and everything decided to lose her. So we're redoing this interview, and we're going to increase it and talk a little bit more in depth because we're not as rushed as we were in Reno. So I'm going to ask her the first question is, what were you doing in Reno? Were you doing a book signing? Or did you have a new book that released at that time? What was going on?
Well, in Reno, it was kind of interesting. I did not have a new book. I had just finished the newest Destiny series book called Meeting Destiny, but it hadn't gone through the editing phase yet, so I didn't really have anything new. But I did do a book signing while I was there. I participated in two panels, writing panels, which was absolutely awesome. We had standing room only in
Nice.
the room. And what was really fabulous about the panels is I was on the panels with my writing buddies from my RWA romance chapter in San Diego. So I knew these gals, I knew what they write, I knew what they were going to say. And so I think we just rocked the panel. It was absolutely fabulous.
That's good.
Um, and I was also able to participate in a genre signing. I write contemporary romance, and so I was in a room with 13 other contemporary romance authors, and we were signing our hearts out. We had about 1 hour, and we gave away our books.
Nice.
And I was really funny because one of my friends came up to me just as the signing was starting. She said, "Chris, you'll never believe it. You have the longest line." So I was thrilled. That was kind of cool. Either that or she wanted me to speed it up a little bit. So,
Right.
but Reno was RT was an absolutely fabulous experience. I met a lot of readers while I was there, which is really why I was there.
Right.
I love to interface with my readers. I love to talk to people who've read my work. That's why I do it. I write because of my readers. And so it was sad to see that that was going to be the last RT. And so,
Right.
things happen, life moves on, and so we go to the next phase then.
Well, we're all going to go to New Orleans next May. So that should be a nice, different experience. I've never been there before. So I'm kind of looking forward to being there.
Well, I think you're going to meet a lot of really famous authors. I saw some of the authors who were attending, and I thought, wow. So it's you're going to have a blast.
Okay, because I'm going to be doing the interviews as well again. So we'll see what happens, with that. Uh, to get a little bit of information, why did you decide that you wanted to become a writer?
I have written ever since I was in high school. In fact, my best friend and I, while we were in high school, we wrote concurrent stories, basically. And she lived in Los Angeles, and I lived about 30 miles away. So we only saw each other on the weekends. And we'd get together every weekend and read to each other what we had written.
Nice.
And so even when I attended college, I was in creative writing. And then life kind of got in the way, and I went for a big management job and ran all sorts of parts of a company. And I was leaving a company, and I kept hearing whether it was the universe or whoever whisper in my ear, write the book, write the book, write the book. It was all summer long. I even opened up a fortune cookie, and it said, write the book. And I went, hey, okay, I'm going to write the book. Because I'd had a story in the back of my head. I didn't really know what it was going to be about. I'm a pantser, which means the type of writer that a pantser is. We write by the seat of our pants, basically. We don't plot it out before we start. We just kind of sit down and we write it. I always say the characters tell me the story, and then I put it on paper.
Right.
So I started the book the first book in August, wrote the first 2 chapters, had no idea what it was going to be about, and so I tucked it away for several months. I got together with a friend of mine one evening in December. We went to the movies, and she said, I asked her, I said, please, read my first 2 chapters. I don't know who the hero is. Tell me what he does. And so she read the first 2 chapters, and she says, oh, that's easy. He's a wildlife photographer. And because one of my big hobbies and love is wildlife photography, I went bingo. And Eagle's Destiny was born. Nice. And so I was bitten again. The drug that fulfilled me in high school and college just hung on to me, and I've been writing ever since. And even keeping big management style jobs and writing in the evenings and on the weekends. And so, once you're a writer, you're a writer. It's hard to get away from it. So right. Now I think about writing all the time. I have wonderful muses who are my friends, and when we get together, their first question is, okay, what are you writing? How's it going? And so they keep me going week after week.
Nice. And what genre of book do you write? Is there more than one genre that you write?
Well, currently I write contemporary. However, since I've finished with this last book, I am going to start the last book of this current series that I'm writing, the Destiny series. And in conjunction, I'm starting a new book for a new series. So I'm going to write 2 at one time. That's the first time I've ever done this. And this new book is paranormal romance.
Nice.
We're going to have some vampires, some fairies, and some witches, and probably a dragon.
Well, so nice.
It's something totally different than I have ever done before. The setting is in New Orleans, and I visited New Orleans at the end of May.
Right.
And I have a very good friend of mine who lives in New Orleans, and so he is my source of information of all things NOLA. So I'm on the phone with him quite frequently going, okay, where is this and how does this happen? So,
okay.
Yeah, paranormal. I'm excited about it.
That's something we'll have to look forward to. Do you have a time frame like in the next year or so?
Well, since I'm writing these 2 books concurrently, I'm hoping to have both of them out early next year. So nice. It's pedal to the metal. The last Destiny book is going to be called Choosing Destiny, And the paranormal is going to be called The Chronicles, and the first book of the series is called The Queen.
Nice. Okay.
So it's
All
going to
right.
be fun.
Sounds like it. We'll have to be on the lookout for that. And speaking of that, we'll start. Where can they find you on the multimedia and that, so we can keep up on when release dates and that? Are you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
I am on Facebook, CJ Corbin, and I have both an author's page and a personal page. My personal page is completely open, so I invite everybody to friend me. And that is where you can find the latest and greatest things about CJ.
Nice.
I mean, I am completely out there. I do have a website, cjcorbin.com. So it's very nice and easy. You don't even have to put the www in front.
Right.
You can just cjcorbin.com. And I do tweet cjcorbin00. And I have a lovely Pinterest page that you can click on from my website. And on the Pinterest page, what I try to do is I try to find pictures or subjects that relate to the books that I write.
Okay.
So because since I'm a photographer also, I love wildlife photography, and I have been published, so I'm an actual really real wildlife photographer. I have my wildlife photography up on the Pinterest page, and other things that my readers find interesting.
Okay.
So.
All right. And is there any particular writer or writers that inspired you when you first started and still inspire you with the style and type of writing that you do?
Oh, yes. I have my my top writers, and all but one writer I've met, which is very exciting. Obviously, Nora Roberts, the Queen of Romance. I mean, she's right up there. What I always tell everybody is I channel Nora while I'm writing, because she writes 8 hours a day. So she is absolutely in tune to it. Charlene Harris, the Sookie Stackhouse author. I got to meet her last year, and she was so inspiring. She told me that she was a pantser also. Okay. So I thought, hey, somebody who's really, really famous does it my way. So
there you go.
Janet Ivanovich, I love her writing. And she was the one that really got me to write first person, which is very unusual in the romance genre to do first person. So she's somebody that I like to emulate. And the last one, the one that I haven't met yet, but we're hoping, is J.R. Ward and her Black Dagger brother.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that my paranormal will beat hers. So those are the things that I strive for.
Well, hopefully maybe it works out that way. Maybe she will see your book and say, wait a minute, I need to meet this person. When you were back in high school and that, trying to sort out your future and what you wanted to be, what would have been your dream job back then, other than a writer?
Back then, believe it or not, I wanted to be a doctor. And at first I wanted to be a pediatrician, and then I realized that I'd have to be around small children all day.
Yes.
And I have this much patience with small children. So that quickly changed, and then I wanted to work in pathology. So I was very much driven on a medical side. When I was in college, I worked for a veterinarian. And I did that through most of my college years. So I was still on that medical side. But with the veterinarian, I had the opportunity to work with the animals. And so that's where I was headed. I never thought of writing professionally. Writing to me was, when I was in high school, that was the fun thing to do. I was always writing in high school, always in creative writing classes, but I never dreamt that I could do it professionally.
Right. And where did you grow up at?
I grew up in a lot of different places. I was born in Berlin, Germany,
Oh,
believe it or
nice.
not.
Okay.
And we lived in Northern California in Carmel, but most of my years was here in Southern California near the beach.
Okay.
So I consider myself that quintessential Southern California girl.
Right. Right. And then you've been a writer for a little while, and you have several books that are out. What advice would you give the brand new writer that's coming into this crazy world of writing, that may not have released their first book or getting ready to release their first book? And I want you to think back to the time when you did your first book, whether it was positive or negative experience, but what words of encouragement and what could you get offer to them that you learned from that might keep them from feeling like they're out there by themselves?
Well, number one, you're not by yourself. There are a lot of authors out there, a lot of creative people, and you can find them through social media, which is what I did. But I would encourage any author that is preparing to release their work or and they're working toward that is to join a writing group. Whether it is in the genre that you're writing, like for me, I joined Romance Writers of America, or whether it's just a simple critique group. Get together with your tribe. And authors, when you're a writer, other authors are part of your tribe. They understand what you are facing in this world. The other thing that beginning writers or writers who are just on that edge is you need to make your work as professional as possible. So for indie published authors like me, who do not have the backing of a major publisher, you have to put some money into it, which means you must get an editor to edit your work. That is so important. Your cover on your book needs to be professional. So you need to spend it, you do have to invest in your work. There are lots of cover artists out there, and again, on social media, Facebook, you can find these people. You can find them through the internet. I have a fabulous cover designer who's in Australia who I've worked with since the first cover. And we are simpatico now. You know, with this series, she has my complete trust, and she's got control of those covers. You know, I tell her what the story's about, boom, you know, she returns that cover to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. You read my mind. So, and that was advice that I had gotten from another writer when I was first starting, is she said, make it look professional, make it look good. So get people who know what they're doing, editing, the layout of the book, the cover of the book. Even if you're just going for ebooks, you still need a cover, you know, you still need that layout, and you still need the editing. Most writers, and I would say 99% of writers, cannot edit their own work because they're just not going to see what somebody else is going to see. And lastly is have other people read it. Get those beta copies out there to people, not necessarily all of your friends, but people who, you know, will give you an honest opinion about your work. And know that you're going to make mistakes in the beginning. You're just, you're not going to know everything there is to know. I don't even know everything there is to know, and I'm coming up to the fourth book. So it's okay. You make mistakes, and you go, what if? I've read many authors where their first book was like, oh my gosh, but they've gotten better.
Right.
So, and that will happen. So and be patient and keep writing.
Good. Okay, those are words of wisdom, guys. The new authors that might be listening, who hopefully are listening, take those and run with them. We've heard that you have 2 books hopefully coming out next year. Do you have anything coming out this year? And also, are there any additional book signings that you may be at the rest of this year that we might be able to find you at?
Well, the Meeting Destiny, which is the 4th book in the series, is coming out at the end of August. And I've already got the cover done. We're in the final edit phase. The back cover copy is baked. We're good to go. Like I said, we're just doing those final icky-deetsy edits that have to be done.
Sure.
Where you're thinking, did somebody read this? And I do have a signing coming up. This is something of a last minute. The San Diego Union Tribune, which is the huge newspaper down in San Diego, is doing a book fair. And my RWA chapter is going to be involved with that. They have also asked us, the chapter, to do a big romance panel. And so we've got a few famous romance authors who are going to be on the panel, and I'm been asked to moderate it.
Nice.
Which really, woo! So I'm very excited about that. And so in with that, I will also have books there on August 25th. And we'll be signing them and talking to readers about the romance genre. So Good. It's very, very, it's cool.
Cool. And I know that CJ does not write. We were discussing before we started the interview that she's not an 8-hour-a-day writer, but she has some exciting news. She's going back to work into a day job that she's all excited about. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I have commuted my entire life, and anybody who knows Southern California, the commute just gets worse and worse and worse. My last commute was 2 hours each way. So I was able to find a position that is 20 minutes away from where I live.
Nice.
And it's with a wonderful company that does contracts with the government, and I have 6 or 7 friends who actually work for the company. So I'm just kind of walking into the place, and I'm very excited about the opportunity. Like I was explaining to you before, I'm probably one of the few people in the world who really enjoys getting up in the morning and going to work. I like to have that interaction with people, because they're telling me their stories, what happened in their world. And believe it or not, those stories feed my imagination. And more often than not, those stories are going to end up in one of my books.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good. And then do you see yourself ever becoming a full-time writer?
Well, I was a full-time writer for the last year. And yes, I mean, certainly, but I'd have to land on one of those bestsellers lists.
Right.
So, but in the meantime, I'm perfectly happy. I usually work on my writing 3 to 4 hours a day. So that means that, I'm going to get up early in the morning and put those words on paper, come home, put words on paper, and then on the weekend put words on paper. So I'm always writing at some point.
Okay. Well, we've taken up enough of CJ's time. I appreciate her coming and redoing this interview with me a little bit more relaxed than we were in Reno because we were like, go, go, go. And I hope everyone has enjoyed hearing what's going on in her world, what new and exciting things she has coming up. So we're going to say goodbye for now. And as soon as the interview is done, we'll have it posted up on the YouTube channel and everybody can check it out. So I will talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.